Welcome back. In today's episode, we have the conclusion of the interview with Mark Mawhinney. Today, we're going to discuss getting over the fear of self-promotion, how to take your foot off the brake, and even if you find a successful business out there, don't try to duplicate what they're doing. Do you?
Welcome to this edition of Peak Performance Podcast with your host, Thor Conklin. Thor will be sharing the necessary tools, strategies, and psychology you'll need to become a peak performer in any area of your life or business.
Thor Conklin here. We give you the tricks, the tips, the tools, the strategy, the technology, and the psychology peak performers use in order to get more done and execute at the highest level. If you know what to do but struggle with getting it all done, or simply want to raise your game to the next level, this podcast is for you. Sit back and enjoy. Let's talk a little bit about self-promotion. This is something that I struggled with early on, as not wanting to be the person in the center, not wanting to be the person out there going, hey, I'm the brand. What do you tell your coaches?
Well, they're going to have to get around any fear of self-promotion. So I find a lot of coaches, when we start working together, are too humble, and they think that they don't want to be, say, Donald Trump. No offense to any Trump voters, but, they're afraid of coming across as too much. And it's a noisy, especially online, noisy world. So if you're afraid to blow your own horn, then people aren't just going to beat a path to your door. You're going to have to get out there and do it. So I find it gets easier especially once you start getting business from it, and when you're sharing there's a way to share how good you are without coming across like an arrogant a-hole. And I guess that's a balance, trying to figure that out. But you definitely can't be afraid to blow your own horn.
Yeah, and one of the great advice I've learned over the years in speaking is instead of speaking to someone about your accomplishments or what you're doing, have a conversation with them. Have a conversation and say, this is where I've been. This is where I am. This is what I'm doing. And I think this may have some value for you, as opposed to, hey, look at me, look at me, look at me. Have a conversation. It's not about you getting on stage and yelling at people.
Right. I mean, one of my clients who's doing great, I knew she's doing great because we have our sessions, and I'm keeping tabs with her business. So she's getting new clients. She's a coach, and but no one else knew, because online she was being way too humble. It's okay to be humble at times, but you'd never know she had any clients, and you wouldn't know that she's having these great wins. And my recommendation to her, of course, not breaking any confidentiality that she has with her clients. You can't go out there and give all your clients' names and stuff like that, but there's ways that you can share success stories without, breaking confidentiality, and let people know that, hey, I'm busy having fun working with clients that are getting results, because then people are going to want to work with you and get results as well. And once she made that change, it was almost like taking she had one foot on the gas and one on the brake. So what happens when you try to do that? It was like she removed her foot from the brake, and the car just started really going. And that was a block that she had to get over. She was afraid that she was going to look arrogant and look way too promotional, and that's why she's holding back. And her business is going gangbusters because she got past that block.
Yeah, and this applies in any business. If you're an entrepreneur, you need to be telling the world what you're doing, who you are. And you need to do it in your own voice. Let's talk a little bit about this. We see so often, I love turning on Facebook, and I'll see a post by one of my friends, and they're telling me about X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, that's funny. I know who actually said that. And it wasn't you.
Yeah, well, you see it on Facebook sometimes. Somebody, it's like they came up with it out of the shower this morning, whatever the mind of man can conceive or believe it can achieve. And yeah, I guess some people may think they came up with it. Anyone who grew up with Think and Grow Rich and stuff knows otherwise. But anyways, no, I just, I find the online world fascinating. There's a whole bunch of characters that are on there, and I really love watching to see what works and what doesn't, and human relations and interactions. It's a fascinating world out there.
Yeah, I love what you say. If you want to hear, and I say the same thing. If you want to hear Tony, you want to hear Brendan, you want to hear Marie, go see them. Go see directly from them. Don't come to me to hear what they have to say.
Yeah, well, I put that, I think, in the ebook as well.
You did.
Yeah.
And I've been saying that for years.
It's like Marie Forleo has a factory that churns out a bunch of mini Maries, and they all sound the exact same language and everything else. And that's what I'm thinking. There's already a Marie Forleo. Just be yourself. That's what I am. And I have a corny, kind of lame sense of humor. I say stupid jokes and puns and stuff. Maybe it's my Canadian sense of humor, but it's me. It's just the way I talk. If you and I were, having a beer or something like that, and that works for me. Now, if I try to be like Tony Robbins or Brendan Bouchard, I said that joke in the ebook. I said Brendan Bouchard's like a hyena on Red Bull. Some of his videos, if I popped in here and I said, "Hey Thor, how's it going today?" and all that, it'd be a little bit weird. It's just not my style. So just be yourself. Same with Gary Vaynerchuk. I can't be Gary Vaynerchuk. There's only one Gary Vaynerchuk.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's tough sometimes. It was funny because I was doing a session where I was doing Q&A, and someone asked a question, and I'm like, I know what the answer is. And my team's like, well, just say it. I'm like, it's not mine. It's Tony's. And I'm like, and I don't have anything better to add here. I mean, he nailed it. I forget what the situation was. But, it's funny, being around him for 13 years, I know his stuff. And I've got to make a conscious effort every day to go, okay, my stuff, his stuff, Brendan's stuff,
Yeah.
We're all a compilation of all the stuff that we've learned over the years. And sometimes it just gets so muddled as to, where did I hear that? Where did I read that? Where did that come from?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you noticed this. I'd be interested to hear your answer where you worked with Tony for years and stuff. But after his documentary was released on Netflix, that he dropped the F-bomb in that documentary about 342 times, right? It was like every second word was F this, F that. And I noticed something on my Facebook and social media feeds that every coach suddenly was like F this and F that. And, if you don't F and do that. And it was like, man, like it was almost becoming edgier to not swear because so many people were swearing that, hey, I'm going to do the opposite or whatever. And it sounded a little strange. So you do get that a lot with coaches who, if I went out there, I have, at times have a potty mouth and it's kind of salty language. But if I was, dropping F-bombs every second word during this interview, it just would come across phony. So I just think people should talk the way that they normally talk and don't try to be, Tony, it works for Tony. So, I'm going to start dropping F-bombs, or I'm going to start installing one of those cold pool water things that you dip yourself into, submerge yourself every morning in your backyard because Tony does it,
There's a lot of people running around doing that.
Yeah, there's a business idea after that documentary. What are they called? I don't even know. Is it cold water submersion tanks or something? Or is that
he uses cryotherapy and then the cold dunk tanks. One note that I think is worth mentioning here, and it's worth talking about for the listeners, is when Tony uses that language, he uses it very specifically. And what didn't come through in the documentary is when he starts an event, day one, it is no F-bombs. What happens is as he gains rapport with his audience, the language gets stronger and he uses it to take people out of their state or their cycle that they're in. So he uses it to disrupt. But he doesn't come right out the gate with that because you, in my opinion, and I think it's his as well, you lose rapport. And if you lose rapport, you can't influence people. So, that didn't come through in the thing. But it's very calculated. Day one is, hey, shake the person's hand next to you and say hello. And as the event goes on, then it's like, give that person a big hug, give him a back rub, grab him, slap him on the butt. Could you imagine if that was like the first one? Everything kind of ramps up.
Day 5, he's making a woman break up with her boyfriend or something.
Exactly, yes.
Whatever. He doesn't lead with that.
Right, exactly.
And it works for him, obviously. But I've noticed a lot of people that try to sound like Tony or Brendan Bouchard or Les Brown or whatever. And, you got to be yourself as well. I mean, there's only certain, not saying everybody's unique. Tony, probably got to start not borrowing, not stealing, but, he's influenced by certain people, but then he put his own spin on stuff. Yeah. And that's what I think everybody has to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Mark, tell the audience how they can get a hold of you and some of the stuff that you're currently doing.
Yeah, best spot is naturalborncoaches.com. And at the website, there's all our links, podcasts, blogs, and so on. And also the copy of the ebook that we're referencing, The Real ABCs of a Successful Coaching Business. And the other place I spend a lot of time on is in my coaching jungle group there, the Facebook group. So you can find that at thecoachingjungle.com. We'll forward you.
Awesome. I very much appreciate your time today. I know the audience is going to get a lot out of today's session, and look forward to having you back on.
Yeah, I had fun. Thanks, Thor.
Awesome. Thank you. For the last 16 years, I've been driven by the question of why some people achieve amazing results and others don't. The answer? 90% of their success came from their psychology. So if 90% of their success comes down to their psychology, what was the one thing that enabled them to produce the results that others were not? Their ability to execute, their ability to get things done. Now, we all know how to get things done, but some of us do it better than others. And some of us are not even coming close to tapping our potential. So if you're truly committed to tapping your potential and really becoming a peak performer and getting the results that you need, want, and desire, take your phone and text the word BE Summit. That stands for Business Execution Summit. One word, BE Summit, and text that to 41411. I'm going to send out some additional information on our upcoming event that will truly teach you the science of execution. Thank you so much for listening today. I really do appreciate your time, and I hope you found today's show valuable. If you would like to receive these shows automatically to your phone or to your computer, simply go to iTunes and subscribe. After listening to several of the shows, if you're so inclined, please leave us a 5-star rating, as this helps us reach additional people and spread the message. If you're truly committed to taking your life to the next level and doing whatever it takes to become a peak performer, but something's holding you back, something is blocking your way, and you just can't seem to figure out what it is, send me an email to info@thorconklin.com, and I'd be more than happy to get on the phone with you. We'll schedule a 15-minute discovery call. No obligation, no cost. I absolutely love to hear from the listeners, and if there's something I can do to help, I'd be more than happy to do that. Also, if you found something of great interest in today's show and you want to share that with your friends and family, simply go to my Facebook page, Thor Conklin, click on the episode, hit the share button, and share it on your page. You can follow me at Twitter at Thor Conklin. The website is thorconklin.com. We're constantly adding new free resources, discussing additional tricks, tips, tools, and strategies on how to be a peak performer. Remember, I try to keep these episodes short so you can listen to them during dot time, doing other things, commuting, driving, walking, working out. Decide to be a peak performer in all that you do. And until tomorrow, have an absolutely amazing day.